This is lesson 4. I will multiply by 10, 100, and 1000 using arrays and numbers. So I want you to get the next blank page in your math journal, and I want you to write today's date. Please make sure that you write in your math journal lesson 4, multiply by 10, 100, and 1000, and keep your math journal nice and neat because you can always use it as a resource if you have any questions about anything that we've done. All right, in your math journal, I want you to go ahead and I want you to draw this place value chart. In this place value chart, I have labeled it ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands with words. It's perfectly fine if you use digits, 1, 10, 100, and 1,000. When you get this drawn, I want you to come back. Go ahead and put your place value disc in here. Okay, so hopefully you've got this drawn now, and I want to ask you this question. How many do you see? You should say 3 ones. How many groups of 3 ones do you see? Just one group, right? So suppose I want to multiply 3 ones by 10 instead. How would I do that? If you remember from previous lessons, whenever you move a place value disk to the left on the place value chart, you are multiplying it times 10. So we can multiply this whole group times 10, like this. So you circle it to represent you're moving the whole group times 10, and you put 3 10 number disc right here. I want you to do this in your math journal. Okay? So what if I wanted to multiply these 3 tens by 10? What would that look like? It would look like this, right? Go ahead and put this in your math journal. So you take 3 tens times 10 and you end up with 3 hundreds. I bet you can guess what's coming next. What if I wanted to multiply 3 hundreds times 10? What would you get? Go ahead and see if you can draw that. Is this what you drew? 3 thousands? So 3 times 10 times 10 times 10 is the same thing as 3 times 1,000. And 3 times 1,000 is 1,000. All right, draw another place value disk. This time, place value chart. This time I want you to draw 15 times 10. And we are going to show what happens when you take here's the 15, here's the 10, and here's the 5 ones and the 15. So if we multiply 10 and 15 times 10, this is what we end up with. Instead of 5 ones, we have 5 tens. Instead of this 10, we end up with 1 100. So after you have all this drawn, I want you to think to yourself, what is 110 times 10? Say, it shouldn't be 10, it should be 100. Okay, what is 5 ones times 10? 50, right? So 15 times 10 equals 150. And remember, this is a mistake. That should say 100. Okay, we're going to try one more. I want you to draw a place value disk, or excuse me, I keep saying place value disk. Draw a place value chart, and then I want you to get back with me. All right, so I want you to label your place value chart ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, and I want you to write this multiplication problem above it, 22 times 100. And I want you to go ahead and put 22 in your place value chart using place value disk, and I want you to show me what it looks like when you multiply 22 times 100. And then I want you to check back. Okay, so let's take a look here at what we have. So we have 22, here's 2. Notice if it's times 100, I'm skipping the tens place and going 2 places over. So 2 times 100 is 200. 20 times 100 is 2,000. So this is just another way to represent this multiplication sentence. So you could say 22 times 10 times 10 is the same thing as 22 times 100. And 22 times 100 is 2,200 or 2,200. Okay? I want you to draw one more place value chart for me. This time, I want you to put 4 ones, and I want you to write 4 times 20. So notice all the other problems have been times 10 or times 100, and this one is 4 times 20. So I want you to think to yourself, how would you do that? Because if you move it to the tens place, you're multiplying it times 10. If you move it to the hundreds place, you're multiplying it times 100. How are we going to multiply this times 20? First of all, we're going to have to think of this multiplication sentence in a little bit of a different way. Instead of thinking it as 4 times 20, we can think of it as 4 times 2 tens, which is the same thing as 4 times 2 times 10. Here's your 20. We just broke it apart. And we're going to multiply the 4 times 2, which gives us 8. So 4 times 20 is the same thing as 8 times 10. I bet you could do 8 times 10. I want you to change your place value chart to represent 8, and then I want you to multiply it by 10, and then I want you to check back. Is this what it looks like? So this is 4 times 2. We doubled our place value just to have 8. We multiplied it times 10. So 4 times 20 is 80. I want you to try one more. Last one, I promise. So I want you to draw yourself a place value chart, and I want you to put across the top 6 times 400. So I want you to think about what you learned in the last problem when we did 4 times 20. There's no way to do 6 times 400. If you just put your hundreds or put your 6 ones and you moved it to the tens place, that's 6 times 10. If you moved it to the hundreds place, that's 6 times 100. But how would you do 6 times 400? So think about what we did in the last problem and see if you can figure it out. If you can't, you can hang with me and I'll help you. Okay, so we're going to have to think of 6 times 400 a little bit different way. Okay, we're going to have to think of 6 times 400 as this. So we have 6, turn off my pen again. So I've got 6 times 400s, which is equal to 6 times 4 times 100, which is equal to 24 times 100. So on your place value chart, you're going to draw 24, 2 tens, 4 ones, and you're going to multiply both of those by 100. It would look like this. So here's your 6 times 4, which is 24. Excuse me, let's do this. So I've got 24. Here's 4 times 100. Remember, you go all the way across 2 place value discs, and that gives me 400. And then 20 times 100, which gives me 2,000. So 6 times 400, or 24 times 100, is 2. Oh, good issues today, aren't I? Which is the same thing as 2,400. Okay, now we're ready for your problem set. So get out problem set 4, and we're going to practice a little bit on your problem set now. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and put your name at the top of your problem set, and you're going to notice that they included an example. The examples are always very helpful because the examples give you an idea of what they're expecting. So 5 times 10 equals 50, which is 5 ones times 10, which is the same thing as 5 tens. So we're going to draw a number disc and arrays as shown to represent each product. So I want you to go ahead and I want you to show me 5 in number disc. And if you think you know how to multiply that times 100, go ahead and try. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw our 5 ones. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 5. And 5 times 100 is the same thing as 5 times 10 times 10. So instead of doing 5 times 10 twice, I'm going to skip right over here to the hundreds. Times 100, and then 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 100 is 500. 5 times 10 times 10 is 1 times 100 is 5. All right, let's take a look at the next one. This time we have 5 times 1,000. So again, I'm going to draw my 5 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you think you know what to do, go for it. So this is going to be 5 times 10 times 10 times 10. So this is 5 times 1,000, which is going to give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 times 1,000 is 5,000. 5 times 10 times 10 is 5,000. 5 ones times 5,000 or times 1,000 is 5 thousands. Okay, now we're going to try to complete the following without using a place value chart or an array inside of a place value chart. So let's look and see if we can do these. If you think you know the answers, go ahead and fill them out, and then you can just check back with me. Right, so we have 6 times 10. That's going to be 60. What times 6 will give me 600? 100. 6,000 equals 6 times 10 times 4, 40. 4 times 100 equals 40. That's a 0. And then 1,000 times 4 is 1,000. If you haven't done any by yourself, try to see if you can do this bottom row by yourself and then check back. Okay, so we have 9,000, and we have 90 equals 10 times 9, and 900 equals 9 times 100. So don't let these confuse you when they put the answer at the beginning. It's the same thing as this. 6 times 1,000 equals 6,000. They just turned it around. So instead of saying 6 times 1,000 is 6,000, they're just saying 6,000 is 6 times 1,000. It's the same exact thing. Let's take a look at the next page. So now we're going to draw number disc and arrays as shown to represent each product. So this time we have 12 times 10. So I have to represent 12. So that's going to be 1 10 and 2 1s. And I'm going to multiply both of these times 10. 10, which is going to give me 2 10s. And I'm going to multiply this 10 times 10, which is going to give me 100. So 12 times 10 is the same thing as 120. 110, 2 1s times 10 is the same thing as 12 10s. Okay, so let's do 18 times 100. So I've got 110, 8 1s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to multiply all this times 100 this time. So I'm going to start with the 10s. So 10 times 100 is 1,000. And then 8 1s times 100 is 800. So I've got 18 times 100 is the same thing as 1,800. 800. 18 times 10 times 10 is 1,800. 110, 8 1s times 100 is the same thing as, let's see what we had here, we ended up with hundreds, is the same thing as 1,800. Take a look at the next problem. Why don't you try to do this one by yourself and then check back. See if you've got it correct. All right, so we've got 25, so I'm going to come up here with 2 10s, 5 1s, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm multiplying this times 1,000. So this would be times 10 times 100 times 1,000. 3 places on the place value chart. So this will give me 2 10,000s. And then I've got 5 1s. So this is times 10 times 1,000. I have to go all the way over here. So this is going to give me 5,000s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 25 times 1,000 is the same thing as 25,000. 25 times 10 times 10 is 25. 2 10s, 5 1s times 1,000 is 25. All right, let's try the last page here, or the last few problems. Okay, so this time we're going to decompose each multiple of 10, 100, or 1,000 before multiplying. So this is like what we did in our journal. So if you need to look back at that, you can look back at that to see how we did this, because there's no way on the place value chart to multiply times 40. We multiply times multiples of 10, so we're going to change this. So instead of 3 times 40, we're going to say 3 times 4 times 10, because 4 times 10 is 40. Now they multiply 3 times 4 to make 12, and 12 times 10. Now I can say 12 10s is 120. So this time, 3 times 200 is the same thing as 3 times 2 times 100. So there's my 200. Now I'm going to multiply 3 times 2, which is 6, times 100, and that gives me 600. So notice the whole point here is to be able to multiply by a multiple of 10. So we're trying to get rid of the 200 and make it just 100. So for this, I'm trying to get to just 1,000. So this is going to be 4 times 4 times 1,000. There's my 4,000. So 4 times 4 is 16 times 1,000, which is going to give me 16,000. See if you can do this last problem by yourself and check back to see how you did. All right, so I have 5 times 4 times 1,000 gives me 20 times 1,000 gives me 20,000. Be sure to do the practice before you do the exit slip, and good luck to you.